Less than 15 minutes to the closing bell. Markets in the green right now. And joining us is Larry Shover, CIO at Efficient Advisors. Larry, I mean, we're heading towards the highs of the session here. We are up 8 weeks on the Dow and the NASDAQ. What do you make behind this risk-on attitude?
Yeah, it's amazing. You consider up, 400 points since the December 26th low. I mean, this week, 2% in the green, I think, a genuine uptick in the macro narrative. I mean, let's face it, the Fed narrative is evolving in a good way. China economic growth figures were actually really good. Import-export numbers were good. Lending came out really good today. Combine that with negativity, people just under-positioned chasing the market, and that's why you have a huge melt-up like we're seeing.
Larry, when the market's moving like this, I think pretty much everything is going up, but it does feel like now we're back near that 200-day moving average. You're going to have to actually pick some stocks you like, some stocks you don't. Yeah. What do you like right now? What looks attractive to you considering the rally that we've seen pretty much across the board over the last 8 weeks?
Yeah, I love how you phrased that because you're correct. Like it used to be fundamentals. Now we're getting into that crunchy area where it's more about sentiment and I really do believe that growth and value is the place to be. I mean, fully admitting that we're closer to the end of the cycle than we are the beginning. However, I still think the fundamentals are sound. This market seems more like a reset of 2015 or 16 than it does at the end of the cliff. So I think growth/value, more growth than value, and really just stay away from momentum, low volatility, cyclical stocks, as it were. So. And really that whole I'm predicating all of that on the fact that I think this market's in a reset mode, not necessarily at the end of a cycle.
So if we are resetting and we try and take the analogy going back to 2015, if then you think about what got us to 2018, there were some momentum names in there. Why stay away from it, I guess, completely? Could you be missing out on what might be the actual leadership category here?
Yes. Yes, and I cringe when I say that because, boy,
Sorry
last
to make
year,
you cringe.
Last year when you saw that gap, that huge chasm between growth and value, it was hard to, justify being in growth. But, now that chasm has come in a little bit, and I think it's a good place to be right now if you're convicted, like I am, that this is more of a reset. If you think we're getting close to end of cycle, then all bets are off, and I would stay towards more stocks that have like higher return on equity. I mean, I think that's one good measure and something that's tried and true over the past few decades.
Larry, I just want to ask you quickly about your view on the Treasury market. This time last year, we were talking all about an inverted yield curve. The curve is not much steeper today than it was last year. What do you think is, what's the market telling you when you look at the Treasuries?
Yeah, the market's telling me that we have to wait until we read the January minutes. And that comes, next Wednesday? The market's been in such a tight range, and you're correct. The 210 yield curve has been, 14, 16 basis points since, the last 2 weeks, so it really hasn't moved. But I think we need clarity on what's up with this abrupt, reversal in Fed policy. And I mean, we're all happy about it, obviously, the risk on markets, but we need to know what's the mechanism for the balance sheet runoff. We don't know what that's going to look like. And when it comes to flexibility and patience, what does that mean? What does that mean for 2019? I think when those questions are answered, we'll start to see some movement in treasuries. And let's keep in mind, we haven't been in the lower half of 2% since earlier in 2018. So if we start to get in that territory, it's going to be a little dicey to see what happens.
Efficient Advisor CIO Larry Shover, have a great weekend.
You as well. Thank you.
And coming up, we head to Washington, D.C. for the latest on Trump's national emergency declaration and the legal showdown that is coming soon. We'll be back after this.